Activists have been calling on government to sort out DNA backlogs. The backlog saw a family from Mooiplaas informal settlement wait for over 2 months to bury their daughter who died in a fire. The burial was delayed because authorities were waiting on DNA results before the body could be released. eNCA senior reporter Aviwe Mtila has been following that story for us and joins us in studio now for the very latest. You know, Aviwe, we've been covering these backlogs in terms of DNA for some time now. But when a story and a face and the pain of a specific family is put to that story, it really does paint a different picture, doesn't it?
Certainly paints a different picture. And this is the family, Marcel, that we were speaking to just on Sunday. They had nowhere to go. They'd lost all hope in terms of getting the DNA results of their 18-year-old daughter, Matlo Siapela. Remember that the two daughters of Khomotso Siapela were burnt down at the Mooiplaas informal settlements on the 4th of July. One was sent to ICU and Matlo was burnt extensively, died on the spot. But then the family was told by authorities that they need DNA confirmation if it is her. They wanted to bury both the daughters at the same time, but because of the backlog, they couldn't. On the 18th of July, they laid to rest the 16-year-old Moloko Siapela, and of course, they've been waiting forever to get the results of Matlo. It's a sad story that when we spoke to the family on Sunday, they're saying that they didn't know where to go. But after we covered that story on Sunday, it seemed like there was a green light. And yesterday, they got the final confirmation that, in fact, the pathology services in Pretoria had the DNA results and they could go collect them today. And they did today, which gave them that final closure. And the remains of Matlo at this current moment has been taken to Polokwane, where she'll be laid to rest finally on Saturday.
Have we been able to find out why there was a hold-up? We know there are backlogs, but the fact that those details could be released so quickly after a story was done on it is quite telling, isn't it?
In fact, I was in a meeting between the family and the forensics manager as the forensic manager tried to give the details around what's been happening. He suggested that they themselves got that final confirmation on Monday. We're not sure it's because of the pressure, coincidentally, that now has been there. But he did make it clear that it's the prerogative of the South African Police Service to follow up on the DNA testing, and something that the family says that they haven't been having any luck in. In fact, the investigating officer that was on this case is not taking any calls from the family, hence they've lost all faith, basically. But the forensic manager did also paint a picture of the processes involved, saying that it starts at the ante-mortem, then goes on to the post-mortem, then goes on to the victim identification center, and those results then go on to the biology center, which seems to be quite a lengthy process. I actually asked what happens then to the families that need that closure immediately, and he did indicate that there is this lengthy backlog, and in fact, this particular forensic services, pathology services, has 19 more similar cases as the Siapela family just on this one, never mind the others around Gauteng. So you can only imagine the magnitude of the backlog itself.
Does it look like communication is an issue here? Because it sounds like the forensics and the labs, they have a backlog, as it were. But they're saying it's not their job to be communicating with those waiting for those DNA results. That information is supposed to go to the police, whose job it is then to communicate with the families, because obviously they are working with so many moving cases at the time. Is the backlog one thing, but is an entirely other issue the fact that the police are not staying on top of their paperwork and communicating in the correct fashion, in a timeliest fashion with these families?
It was quite disheartening to find out, even from the family today, that till today, never mind that they're actually receiving the DNA test today and they got the final remains of their daughter today, nothing has been heard from the South African Police Service. They say that the investigating officer does not take their calls anymore, does not get back to them. The only communication or communique that they've been receiving of recent is from the state mortuary itself, which happens at least once a week, they say, and even that is a bit difficult. But from the police's side, nothing has been happening, and you'd remember that it's the prerogative of the police to actually conduct these DNA testing and these samples. Similar situation with the Enyobeni Tavern incident, where it's up to the police to follow up on the investigations and to update the families regularly, something that they say that they haven't been having from the police as well.